How are my favorite girls in the world doing? I am so excited to be here today, and I'm all cozied up right now. I really wanted to have a more heart-to-heart type of conversation. I feel like it just makes sense for, my mood where I'm at right now. I love that we get to have so many different episodes with many different vibes and energies, and I always trust that whatever energy I bring to the podcast is the energy that needs to be here. So I'm going to continue to trust that and just really show up how I feel is the most honest I can be, and also hopefully the most helpful. I really wanted to share today some of the lessons that I've been learning in this season of my life. As a lot of you know, it's been tough for me for many personal reasons that some of them I haven't shared here. Some of them I have. Some of them I've shared some parts of it. Because it's been a wild year for me, and the year is not over. Some of you might have seen on my Instagram stories this week, my aunt passed away, which was really sad. We didn't have like the closest relationship. We really didn't. But I grew up with her, not with her, but in the sense of she's always been there since I was really young, because we have been the closest to my mom's side of the family. We'd all spend Christmas together, and we went on vacations together and things like that. And although I didn't have a very personal, particular bond with her, obviously she still means a lot to me. And it was hard, especially to see my cousins grieve their mother when they're kind of so young as well. Like, they're slightly older than us, than me and my sister. But they're still in their 20s, 30s, and it was just really sad and hard to process that, as well as to see my mom have to grieve her own sister, and to think what that would feel like to me, because I do have a sister and I have a brother now. But so it was really sad, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that it's over, in the sense of she's not suffering anymore, because they found a cancer in her, a tumor in her lungs, and it wouldn't have been better than dying. Honestly, it would have been probably worse, and I'm just glad that she didn't have to live without any quality of life or stuck to machines, and that her suffering ended in that way. But it's still sad. And yeah, I've been going through lots of deaths this year. My 2 dogs died, now my aunt. I know it might not seem like the same thing, but Liam Payne died, and all of those things together, besides the fact that I've also been going through my own spiritual deaths, that's been a lot. And it really made me rethink my entire life, It really put me in this emotional, spiritual state that I didn't know when I was going to get out of that place. It just felt really dark, really low. I felt really lost for such a long time this year, and I did not know how to get back up. I genuinely didn't. I know I have so many tools and so many understandings of life, and still I was finding it so hard, because every time I was finding some strength to okay, I'm going to figure this out, okay, I'm going to get back up, it felt like something else was happening. And I don't think I had time in between to recover from the things that were happening to me, or around me, because it wasn't just about me. This year had a lot of things surrounding my family, which is such a structural part of our being and our identities and the way we feel in life, especially considering that I'm still living with my dad right now, which is gonna come to an end soon because I'm moving out in September. But still, it involved a lot of things concerning family stuff, besides the dying parts. but it did, and that really shook me to my core. And I know I've talked a lot about that, and I feel like I'm finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm starting to feel slightly more positive, seeing more of the cup half full. And ultimately I'm starting to feel more like myself again, and feeling more hope towards like where I'm going next in my life and in my journey. But it was a really tough year. And with that toughness, I also learned a lot of tough lessons, and that I'm still learning, that I'm still figuring out. I think this year really humbled me. Like, to be fucking honest, this year really humbled me in the sense of, I think I was really attached to certain things in my ego, and certain like masks, certain lies that I was telling myself. This idea of like being positive all the time and being perfect, blah blah. Like, I felt like I was holding on to all those things so much and not really allowing myself to see what was lying underneath that, which was a really scared little girl that didn't know what she wanted to do, didn't know what to do next, that felt lost and confused and unsafe, who felt like she didn't have anyone, and she just felt deserted in many ways because I wasn't really paying attention to that part of myself. But after facing death after death, like literally, but also like internal ones where I was just questioning a lot of myself and my identity and who I am in this world and what I want to do and who I want to be and the values that I hold, questioning all of that, like, it shook me, but it allowed me to see deeper. And I feel like in this entire process, although it's been really hard, I have gotten to know myself so much better because I've had to dive deep, because I've had to ask myself hard questions, which haven't stopped. I'm still asking myself hard questions. I'm still learning to face some really hard truths about myself, because what I'm starting to understand is that that's what's truly going to allow me to move forward. And so, yeah, like having my aunt pass away right now, as I am closing a personal chapter as well, because I went on a hiatus for 3 months. I didn't do anything business related, and that was as liberating as it was terrifying. But to be in the end of a chapter, and then in a big chapter, I feel like I'm finishing a book type of thing, and to be in the end of that chapter, and now my aunt passing away, it just felt like, damn, like, is this really over, or is this like, or is more of this gonna continue to happen? Like, genuinely, it was just so many unexpected, quote unquote, bad things happening, or that I perceived as bad. Because of course no one wants people around you to like pass away, your dogs to die, things like that. But like, life happens, and this year I know is all about endings. It's all about death and rebirth, sometimes in the literal sense. And I know I haven't been the only one who's been going through it for the most part of this year. And which is why I really want to just be honest with this process, and also with the lessons that I am learning and that I'm kind of like bringing into my daily life right now. Because the truth is, like, when you keep being hit again and again and again, when like life somehow just keeps on like swinging at you and just taking swings, you learn to like lay low, you know, you learn to protect yourself and to like hide away, because you're so scared of like, as soon as you come up, as soon as you come back up and you bounce back, or as soon as you're ready to like move forward again, you're scared of like taking another swing. You're scared that life is just gonna throw something else at you, and it's so scary in that way that you really don't want to do anything. Like, you want to hide like deep inside a cave, not have to move, not have to make choices, not have to make decisions, not have to like move the needle, not have to take action, not just like, you want to evaporate almost from existence, in the sense of like, you don't want to lead yourself in your life because you're so scared of what might happen if you do. Like, you're so scared of just the consequences of any action. Even if it feels right to you, I feel like it might still feel scary because of that, right? That's exactly how I felt. For most of this year, I felt completely unable to move, so frozen, so like just fearful of everything. And all those fears were coming up to the surface, and it was so hard. I felt completely frozen. I felt so scared and terrified of making decisions and making any moves, of just truly like going for it. And I got myself stuck in a way. Like, I got myself stuck, and I was just scared of making the wrong choices. I was scared that any choice that I would make wouldn't be good enough. I was scared of living life because it felt like everything was suddenly like being stripped away. It felt like everything was suddenly like intense and confusing and chaotic, and so much drama happening around me and with my family, and it was just a lot to process, but not enough time to process it, or at least not enough capacity to process it. And I really had to like learn to make space for the chaos and for the hurt and for the pain and for the grief and for the confusion and all the things that, you know, as human beings, we naturally so hardly try to avoid. But I had to make space for that because that was the only way out. Like, that was the only solution. Like, it was either facing how I was truly feeling and facing all the things that were, you know, coming at me, or what, you know, there wasn't a second option. You can't avoid it, you know, you can't avoid like your dog dying. You can't avoid like something so obviously happening in your life, you know. And so it was really loud and clear that I needed to come back to that part of myself, that I needed to get into my wounds and get into my fears and really like sit with them. And I sat with them for a long fucking time this year, and it wasn't easy. I'm just gonna say that. It really was hard. And of course I seeked for support, which really did help, and I'm continuing to like go to therapy, and that has been really helpful. And who knows what's coming next in terms of those investments, but it did really help to have that support. I knew I needed it. At some time I was like, I don't know how to handle this on my own. Like, I need help, I need support, and that's okay. But yeah, so this was a little bit of introduction. I know I've talked about some of these things before, but you know, for everyone who's new, or I just feel like it does give context to so many of the things that I've been talking about here on the podcast. So it just makes sense to kind of like contextualize, and that does not exist, or does not exist. You know what I mean? But so one of the biggest lessons that I really wanted to bring here today, and again, I just hope that these new insights that I've been having can really help you just figure your own life out, in case you are lost, in case you're feeling confused, in case you're just like overwhelmed by life, in case you feel like you took so many steps back this year. I just really want these lessons and these insights to help you not only get back up, but start moving forward, even if it's small steps. Because again, I was so terrified of making decisions this year because it just felt like nothing was working, nothing felt right, nothing felt good. It was a really odd year for me, even energetically. Just felt weird. It felt like an outer body experience, but like a bad one, as if like you're taking I don't know, some kind of acid or whatever, and you're having like a bad trip. This year felt like a bad trip. I'm speaking as if I've ever taken drugs. I haven't. Not those. Like, I've only smoked weed, and you don't have that type of thing, but you know what I mean? Like, that's the best way I can explain it. It felt like a bad out-of-body experience. It felt like a bad trip. And I was like, when is this over? For the most part. Of course, there's been a lot of good highlights as well. But if I compare it to like my previous couple of years, it was one of those years where I felt like I was taking 100,000 steps back. It just felt like everything that I've learned in the last year suddenly like I didn't have that anymore. It felt so weird. But so it's okay, right? And in those moments where we're feeling that way, we don't want to take steps. You know, like, you are scared of taking action. You're scared of making decisions. And it almost feels like it's easier to go back to who you once were. It's easier to go back to toxic habits, toxic, behaviors. It's easier to go back to what's familiar and what feels safe. And like, God's only know that I spent a lot of time this year seeking that comfort in so many things in my life. And thankfully I have definitely evolved and healed enough that I didn't go back to like things that truly harm me. Like, you know, if I was a teenager, I would have probably gone out every fucking week and gotten drunk or getting high, but like I wasn't doing that sort of thing. But I was still avoiding some things through, you know, scrolling on my phone and shit like that. But it was definitely different. You know, I could definitely see, like, at least, although I feel like I'm at my rock bottom this year, at least I haven't gone to those things. So I think you can also see the evolution by how you handle your own rock bottoms. Like, you know, the fact that you don't go back to certain people or certain habits, even though you're at your worst, I think that's always proof of how much you have grown. Even if right now it feels like you have taken so many steps back, but it really shows like you actually haven't. And this is just a period of your life where you're figuring new things out. Even if it feels like the same lesson, even if it feels like the same type of like thing, it isn't. You know, you're always learning deeper, and that means that you're always moving further. So that was one of the things that I really understood. It's like I was frozen. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to take action. I was stuck in indecision, stuck in just living day by day, but without really being that intentional. And that wasn't really like helping me create a life that I love. I was starting to feel like I wasn't myself because I wasn't doing things that make me feel good about myself or that make me feel, you know, like whole and fulfilled in any way. Like I was just living day to day, but in the most unintentional, avoidant, like robotic way possible, because I was just feeling so low and so down and so not like myself that everything felt uncomfortable. Like I wanted to just run away. Like let me tell you something. The biggest feeling that I've had this year that kept coming back was like, I want to get the fuck out of here. Like I want to run away. I want to travel and just like genuinely run the fuck away. I don't want to be here. That was like the most reoccurring feeling that I feel like I had this year, was like, I just need to leave this place, or I need to leave this thing, or I need to leave my own body. I just didn't want to be present because everything was feeling so deeply uncomfortable and unsafe and just confusing and frustrating, and I didn't know how to handle that for the most part. So it really felt like it would take this away, you know? And so because I didn't have any real clarity on how to move forward, on what I was supposed to do next in my business, in my life, in just like the way I was living, because even the things that I used to do so naturally, everything was feeling hard. You know, every type of action that I was taking, it felt hard. It felt like I was pushing like an entire fucking truck with me every time I was trying to move. It felt like it just felt like I normally walk. No, this was like walking with, like, being held down by 100 weights. I don't know how to explain it, but it literally felt that way. Things that used to feel so natural and easy, and just, you know, things that used to happen naturally for me, suddenly like everything felt like an effort, and it just made me want to avoid it more because it felt so hard, and I was already so tired and so drained energetically and emotionally from all the things that were happening, that I had no energy to like fully move forward and feel capable of doing so. So I chose unconsciously to stay stuck. I chose to stay in reflection mode, which I usually do, especially if I keep going back to reflection, and I'm not really taking action. I know I'm avoiding. I know I'm self-sabotaging. I know in that moment I'm really scared of taking actual action. And so one of the biggest things that I learned is like, I don't need clarity in order to move forward. You don't. You really fucking don't. I know we want all the fucking answers until we make a decision. I know we want all the answers, and we want to know what happens next as soon as we take that step. We want to know what's on the other side of the choices that we make, of the leap of faith that we want to take or that we're being called to take. I know we want it all figured out before we move forward, because you're so scared of making the wrong choice. Like, you're so scared of like ending up in the wrong place, because you know what that looks like, and you're scared of going back there. Like, you're scared of the regret, you're scared of the rejection, you're scared of the abandonment, you're scared that things won't work out, you're scared of the failure, maybe you're even scared of the success. But either way, like, you're scared of what might be on the other side. And when you want to protect yourself from whatever you think might be on the other side, whatever your brain and your fears are telling you that might be on the other side, like, you are gonna stay stuck in indecision. You're gonna stay stuck in like reflecting. You're gonna stay stuck in oh, let me just think this through again. Oh, let me just ask this person. Oh, let me just get that, like, this one more piece, something. Like, you're in that, oh, I'm not ready yet mode, you know? And that's exactly how I felt the entire year. I was just like, I don't feel ready. I don't feel ready to move forward. I don't feel ready to make decisions. I don't feel ready to make choices. I don't know where to go next, and I don't know how to figure it out. So I'm gonna stay here until I do. I'm gonna stay right here where I am until I figure it out. But you don't figure it out by staying still. You figure it out when you just go for it, and whatever happens, you kind of like adjust along the way. That's how you figure it out. I think a lot of the times we're trying to find so many answers that weren't even questions in the first place, right? Like, we are trying to figure out who we are when we don't have to be anything. You know, you're trying to figure out what you're meant to do or where you're meant to go when you're not meant to do or be or go anywhere. Like, it's your life, it's your decision. And I know that, especially as like people who are into spirituality and the universe and blah blah, like, you tend to get stuck in like, what is aligned, what does the universe want me to do, and where am I supposed to go? And that was one of the biggest things for me. I kept asking myself, like, where am I supposed to go? Who am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to show up? Like, just trying to figure out what the universe wanted from me. But you're not meant to, that's not real, you know? There's nothing you're meant to do. There's no one you're meant to be. Not really. There's only who you are and who you're going to become as you continue to be who you are, and where that's going to lead you naturally. And I think that was like such a perspective shift for me. It's like, instead of trying to be someone, I'm just going to be me. And wherever that takes me, that's the right place. That's where I belong. That's where I'm meant to go. Everything else is you performing. Everything else is you faking your way into something that isn't actually fully aligned. And I know how uncomfortable that feels, because you want to fit into a box, and you want to fit into a specific thing. You want to have a specific outcome. You want to control everything so much that you end up not truly controlling what you can, which is here right now, who you are, who you choose to be, what you choose to do. And that is going to come from you just allowing yourself to be. Self-acceptance is such a big thing, and I think that it is actually like one of the biggest keys to really unlocking like your truest, most authentic, most aligned path. It's self-acceptance. Because a lot of the times you're trying to be someone, you're not being yourself. A lot of the times you're trying to please other people, but you're not really like looking out for yourself, or you're not really honoring your truth. A lot of the times you're trying to accomplish things that deep down you don't want to accomplish. You just feel like you should. You just feel like that's what everyone is doing, so you should do it too. You just feel like that's what it's expected from you, or that's what you're expecting of yourself. But maybe it's not aligned at all. Maybe that's not where you're meant to go. And maybe if things keep feeling like they're not for you, or things are just not feeling right, or it's no matter where you go, you just feel like you're a misfit, I think it's because you're meant to create your own path. Some people are meant to follow structure, and that's the truth for them. Like, for example, my sister, she's a Capricorn, and I feel like that's important information. That's relevant, okay? She's a Capricorn, and she loves structure. She's always been really big into like studying and school, and just like getting all these different like extracurricular activities, and just like being a part of like the system, kind of like she thrives in the system. She thrives, like, mostly, maybe emotionally sometimes not so much, but in terms of like career wise, I'm like, she thrives in the system. She's gonna fucking like, you know, ride that motherfucker. She's gonna be on top of it. She knows how to play the game. She feels really good with it. She feels really good being a part of the system, doing things as you're supposed to do. That's what's natural for her. to me, that has always felt wrong. Following the status quo has always felt wrong. It has always felt like I was like stripping myself out of my own essence just so that I could fit in. And that has always felt so fucking wrong to me. And so, oh my God, my baby, wait. And so, like, what I realized is that for me, that really doesn't feel good. I've always been someone to question the structure that we live on and the things that I was taught by my parents, which they fucking hate, but it is what it is, guys. So I've always been someone who doesn't naturally fit into the status quo, into the structure, into the system, let's say. And for my longest fucking time, I hated the system because of it. And for the longest time, I've hated myself because of it. But when I try to find acceptance that, maybe things don't feel right because they aren't, and maybe the only thing that I can do to make it right isn't to try to figure out what is the right thing, isn't to try and like listen to everyone else in like what is working, what isn't, what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right, how I can improve myself, how I can change myself, how I can be better. Maybe it's not about that, and maybe it's just really about finding your own voice and just going with it, just singing your own fucking melody. And if no one sings along, like if no one dances to it, like I know you're gonna find people who get you. I know you're gonna find the path that truly feels like your own. But to do that, you need to be okay with like doing things in a different way. You need to be okay with doing things in a way that may be so fucking illogical to most people. And you need to be okay with carving your own path, which is the most terrifying thing. I know, I get it. I fucking get it. It is the most terrifying thing, because every step of the way you are confronting your own fears. Every step of the way you're hearing your own self-doubt. Every step of the way you're so scared of people judging you for whatever you're choosing. Every step of the way you're wondering like, am I crazy? Am I choosing right? Is everyone else right? And am I wrong? Every step of the way you're confronting your own fears and limiting beliefs, and that's what sucks about being a cycle breaker. That's the hard part. That's the hard bit. And that's okay. And that's fucking okay, because it's okay to feel scared. And to learn how to deal with that fear is so fucking relevant, and it's so fucking important. You need to know how to do that, because otherwise you get stuck and you don't know how to move. You don't know how to make like the actual steps that you need to make because you're terrified of making the wrong ones. I was so stuck in my own self-doubt and my own limiting beliefs, and I still am learning how to like set myself free from those. Like, they are so loud. They've been so loud this year, louder than a long time. I feel like since my breakup with my ex, this has been the hardest year so far since then, right? It's just been like really hard to not listen to those fears, to not listen to that self-doubt, because they've been so loud that it almost feels real. And that's why it's so good to have like second perspectives from it. That's why like having my therapist right now has been so important and impactful to me, because she gives me perspective and she reminds me like, actually, this is a fear, this is not real. And when I hear that from her perspective, it's like, yeah. And now that you're saying it, like I get what you mean. But when you're so deep into your own thoughts, because like overthinker over here, honestly, and when you're so deep into like overanalyzing, overthinking, over worrying over every fucking thing, you literally distort reality. You literally distort reality when you're overthinking. And so overthinking, first of all, will never be the solution to your problems. It will never be the solution to like knowing what the next right step is. The next right step is just the next step. It doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be wrong. It just has to happen. That's the only way you can truly move forward. That's the only way you can truly find your unique path. That's the only way you're going to figure it out, because there's nothing to figure out. You just adjust along the way. You just find yourself along the way. You find out what works. You find out what doesn't. You take some things away. You keep some things, and you lock in, and you just keep going, and you just take the next step and the next step and the next step. And if there's something that I've been learning this year, and something that I keep reminding myself, is just like, one step is enough. One step is more than enough. One step at a time is more than enough. I don't need to have it all figured out. I don't need to take I don't need to take 10,000 steps at a time. I just need to take this one. I just need to take the first one and the one after that and the one after that. But one step at a time, you know? And I was always trying to like fast forward it. I was always trying to find some kind of shortcut to the life that I want. And that was leading to so much frustration because you can't shortcut your way into the life of your dreams. You can't shortcut your way into being the person who you're meant to be. Not because the universe told you, oh, you're meant to be this, but because you know it. You feel that potential within you. You feel that you're meant to do something else, something bigger, something more meaningful. And that is never a coincidence. And so when I say what you're meant to be, who you're meant to be, whatever, like, I mean as in like the potential that you feel within yourself. Because I feel that too. I feel like there's so much that wants to be birthed through me besides fucking children. Like there's so much that wants to come out of my creativity, of my desire, of my love, of my passion for life, of my curiosity to seek meaning and seek more of life, of my curiosity to explore other people and other cultures and other countries and all those things. Like so much wants to come out of me, but I need to accept those things first. I need to accept that those desires live within me. I need to accept that, you know, I'm very peculiar when it comes to like the path that I choose. I need to accept that I have fears and I have blah, blah, and I have struggles and I have like, that is so important. And I stayed so much of this year not taking action because I was terrified of whatever action I was taking not being good enough, of failing, of just finding that, you know, no matter what I do, I'll never get it right. But the truth is you can't take one step and think that everything is just going to turn out perfect and everything is going to work out like all at once. It doesn't work that way. And I think sometimes we do have those expectations because maybe that's what we see online. Maybe because we were taught to like, oh, every time we do something right, we're instantly rewarded. Like, I don't know why, but we kind of have that. And it doesn't help us. And so one of the biggest lessons that I learned this year was definitely like, you don't have to have clarity in order to move forward. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to know who you are. Something that Aurora, the singer, actually said in an interview that I fucking loved was, you know, I'm just figuring myself out every day. I'm someone new every day. And I don't try to label myself. I don't try to like understand myself in terms of like the description of who I think I am. I just am. I just explore. Because that's it. That's really all we can expect. That's really all we can be, you know, because we're constantly changing. And so it doesn't even make sense to try to define who we are because we are undefinable. Undefinable. That's such a beautiful way of putting it, I feel like. So that was a big thing. And then understanding that like authenticity and just truly being myself without trying to explain myself to other people, without trying to justify my actions, without trying to make it make sense, because nothing makes sense. Truthfully, nothing fucking does make sense. Like, we literally live on a rock. We live on a rock in space. In a space full of rocks that was created somehow by something or someone or nothing, because we don't fucking know. No matter what the fuck you convince yourself of, we don't know. Nothing makes sense. We give sense to things. We give life meaning. We give things meaning because maybe we have certain, you know, passions. Maybe we have something that just like impacted us as kids. Because for example, like maybe I didn't always want to sing, but I remember watching X Factor and The Voice and contests like that, and even like watching music videos, and I just loved it so much. It mesmerized me. And it became something that I wanted to do for myself. And so, you know, like, it just, you eventually give meaning to things, but everything is just senseless. If you really think about it, nothing makes sense. So you give sense to things. And so being authentic isn't about understanding who you are. It's just about being. It's just about moving forward and doing what feels good. Not in the sense of like, oh, I'm going to party all day, every day, but in the sense of, I'm saying in the sense of a lot. I'm about to punch myself, okay? Shut up. This is like me just joking with myself. Don't worry, guys. But seriously, it kind of makes you think, why am I trying to put myself in a box, give myself a label, give myself a description? You don't need that. You don't need to understand who you are in order to just keep moving. And authenticity is a big piece of what I'm learning this year, because so easy, especially working with social media, to like want to put yourself in a box, want to like find your niche, want to like be defined in a way, be perceived. Like I'm always so concerned with how I'm being perceived, even without social media, even before social media, but that's always been very relevant to me, how I'm being perceived. And I want to control it, because when I was young, I really suffered with being misunderstood, and I hated it. I hated being judged. I hated that people didn't get me, that I try to explain myself and people would interpret it in a completely different way from what I truly was trying to do or say or whatever. As a kid, like, if people thought I had bad intentions and I was just being myself, and I was just like, there were so many small moments that really like made it so heavy on me that I want people to see me for who I am and to understand me. But the truth is, when you're so worried about other people seeing you and other people perceiving you in a certain way, and even you perceiving yourself in a certain way because you are also not ready to accept certain parts of yourself, you constrict yourself to a little tiny box when you're this fucking big, you know? Like, you don't allow yourself to grow. You don't allow yourself to outgrow the perception of who you think you need to be. And that is so important, because something that I'm realizing is like, your authenticity is the biggest unlock to abundance and to love and to all the things that you want. When you are open to yourself and to who you are, when you are like wide open and you're just like, this is real, this is me, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be now. Oh, I like that. That was such a big song for me, because it always meant so much. Even when I didn't fully understand it, I just knew, I just felt it, you know? Shout out to Demi Lovato, whatever, and Jonas Brothers for the concert, by the way. But that was so cool. But you know, like, this is me, and I just want to express myself, and I just want to be myself. And I feel like when you allow yourself to be who you are fully, not trying to shrink, not trying to hide even from yourself, because that's the thing, like, we mostly hide from ourselves first, right? Like, you find yourself maybe trying to be positive all the time and not really confronting or acknowledging the parts of you that maybe you don't like so much. Maybe you're not so proud of certain things. Maybe, you know, you have shame, or you have, like, I don't know, like, you know, you just try to hide away, and that closes you off so much more than you realize. For example, when it comes to love, right? You want someone to love you, you want someone to see you, but then you're like literally just trying to say whatever you think it pleases them. You're trying to be perceived as someone who has their shit together, as someone who's like hot and sexy, as someone who's like, you know, a good partner. And you're in that moment, you don't realize it. Sometimes it happens in the tiniest things, but it does matter energetically, because we are trying to like be perceived in a certain way. And that's not only it is chasing energy, but also we're not actually open. We're not actually open to being loved. We're not actually open to being seen, because we're not seeing ourselves. We're not open to ourselves. So I realized that I closed off so much this year, and I was so scared of being seen for who I truly am. And I was trying to play a character. I still don't know how not to play a character, and I have a whole like reflection about this on the Patreon, by the way, which is gonna launch officially in September 1st, so in literally a couple days. But I'm really excited about that, and I had a whole voice note on, you know, authenticity there. So if you want to explore more of that topic, it really was me reflecting on myself and all the ways that I feel like I've been hiding and not truly showing so many of my of like these different versions of me, and I was compartmentalizing a lot and not really allowing myself to be fully seen as I'm fully am, because I wasn't accepting myself. And I realized that really closed me off to the world, that I felt like the world was closing off to me, but really it was me not truly accepting who I am, not truly making space for myself. And as you know, the universe and life around you, your reality is just a reflection of you. So when things are starting to feel like you're not receiving, like suddenly like the world is closing off to you, abundance is closing off to you, love is closing off to you, ask yourself if you're truly open to yourself, if you're truly listening, if you're truly paying attention, if you're truly loving yourself. Ask yourself if you're not hiding, and if you're not trying to like make yourself so small, make yourself so specific, because that's the thing. I think we're all walking like paradoxes, and we're all walking messes. Like, I think we're not this like figure outable thing. And we try to figure ourselves out so badly, because that's how we feel that sense of like, I belong in this world, I belong in this thing. And we get stuck in that. And then we don't allow ourselves to be something else outside of that box, when we are so many things outside of the boxes that we try to fit into. And in that moment, we really do strip away so much of our essence, and I don't want to do that anymore. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to try to play a character. It's exhausting to like try to be what other people want you to be. It's exhausting to try to fit into someone else's life. It's exhausting trying to pretend that, you know, you are someone you are not. It's just exhausting trying to be someone and not just being that someone. It's exhausting. It really is. It's draining as fuck. It's frustrating, and it doesn't lead anywhere. It really doesn't. And so that was another thing I really am trying to learn. And I say trying because like this is brand new information. I feel like with so much that I had to face this year, it really brought me to do a lot of shadow work, which I haven't talked about in such a long time. But shadow work was a big part of one of the reasons why I was able to leave my relationship at the time. I was doing so much shadow work, which basically means a lot of self-reflection that is raw, that is real, that is authentic, that is transparent. And sometimes it means confronting a lot of your shit, like your limiting beliefs, your fears, parts of your ego, like literally everything that you usually push aside about yourself. Shadow work is all about seeing your shadows, seeing the parts of you that you hide away. And I kind of stopped doing it, like truly doing it, for a long time. But especially since I went into therapy and all of that, like I feel like that has been something that I'm like starting to do more intentionally. And so with that, I've had to confront a lot of truths about myself, and I had to strip away a lot of the illusions that I had that my ego was protecting me from. With all the masks that I had, with all the walls that I had up, like I had to take all of that away, and I'm still taking all of that away, because I feel like I don't know who I am when I'm not trying to be something for someone else. I don't know who I am when I'm not trying to control the narrative on the other side, you know? I don't know who I am when I'm not trying to control how other people perceive me or how I think I should be seen. I think I haven't fully allowed myself to do that. And that's definitely something that I want to do. Because with all the deaths happening in my life, if there's one thing that became so clear, is I don't want to regret not living my life. I don't want to regret not living up to the potential that I felt inside of me. Not what other people expected from me. Not what society expects from me. Not what I think people on like social media, my followers, my blah, 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 want to see from me. But truly like what I feel I'm capable of. What I feel like is my thing, and the thing that wants to be done in my life. Which I don't fully know what that looks like. I don't know what it is. And I'm tired to trying to figure it out, you know? I just won't do that. I'm just going to take one step at a time. And if it feels good, it feels good. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'll just keep moving forward. And that's really all we can do. That's literally all we can do. I think we expect so much of ourselves. And it's not bad to expect good things. It's not bad to like want to be great, but I think sometimes, and actually my therapist told me this, that sometimes we expect so much greatness out of ourselves, and that's actually a way for us to self-sabotage, because if we're expecting ourselves to be the best, to be the greatest, to be the biggest, then everything feels like a failure, and then you stop yourself because you go into perfectionism. You want to be great, and so you already know you're going to fail, or you have so much more likelihood of failing, and that's where you're comfortable. But I feel like, again, this year really humbled me in that sense of like, maybe so many of the things that I'm seeking out aren't things that I truly want, but they are actually things that I think I want because I want to prove myself, because I'm still trying to prove myself to other people, but mostly to me, because deep down I still struggle to believe that I'm capable of living the life that I want. I still struggle to believe that I can be someone I truly am proud of, or someone that is truly living a life that I'm like, wow, like this is the life of my dreams. I don't even know what that looks like. I think I've adopted a lot of other people's dreams and a lot of other people's like ideas of what a good life, of what a successful life is, but I don't think I know what my version of that is. And sometimes I'm scared that I'm not aiming for high enough, and sometimes I'm scared that I'm aiming too low. Oh, or did that make sense? And so, yeah, if there's one thing that I'm really understanding, it's just like one step at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just be yourself, because that is so much more than enough. That is your open, free pass to the life of your dreams. Even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it's going to happen. It's inevitable when you are being yourself, because that is what is aligned. That is the definition of alignment, you know? It's you just being yourself. Because you being yourself, you will grow, you will evolve, you will learn. That is you and your authenticity. It doesn't mean that you like everything about yourself, or that you feel like you're in the perfect place right now. It doesn't mean liking exactly where you are. It just means that like where you are is actually perfect, and you can learn so much from it already. And instead of trying to avoid what is, you use it to like, you know, aid you in the next chapter of your life. And yeah, I mean, I think the last thing that I really want to say is that sometimes you go into these seasons of your life where things just feel really confusing, things feel like too much, you know? Maybe you are in one of those seasons where life just feels like too much. It just feels overwhelming. You're overthinking every single step. You're not able to like understand where to go next. You're confused. You're lost. You're overwhelmed. You're sad. You're depressed. And it feels like you're maybe hitting a rock bottom, or maybe you're close to hitting the rock bottom, or maybe you already are there. But either way, maybe you don't have that much hope that things are going to look better. Maybe you don't know how to make it better. Maybe you don't know what to do next. Just know that you just need to focus on what feels good to you right now, what supports you most right now, in this exact moment. You don't need to think about the next one, just this exact moment. And sometimes when you are in those rock bottoms, it feels like we've taken 1,000 steps back. You haven't. We often come back to the basics of the things that we learn. We often come back to the structural part of our life, because that is the way things change. By changing your structure, a house doesn't change if you don't change the structure, you know? Not truly. Maybe you change how it's decorated, but if you truly want to change it, you're going to have to break down some walls, you know? You're going to have to maybe add like a wall or two, or a bathroom, or blah, blah, blah. Like, that's how it works. Like, you're gonna have to change the structure of the actual thing. And this year, I feel like I've come back to the basics a lot, realizing that maybe I haven't been doing a lot of self-love work, for example, not intentionally, at least. Like, I always, of course, compared to who I was before, like, I so naturally do give myself love, but I still know that I can be so much more intentional about it. And I'm noticing that a lot of the things that I have taught people about, and that I've talked about, and that I've learned a few years ago, I'm coming back to those teachings. I'm coming back to those lessons. I'm coming back to the basics because I feel like I need to remind myself of them. And it felt like I was taking a lot of steps back when I went there. It felt like, maybe I haven't learned at all. Maybe I actually haven't moved, and I fooled myself to believe that things had changed, but maybe I haven't changed at all. Maybe I'm just a lost little broken girl who'll never figure life out. But that's not it. And that's literally only your fears talking. If you are feeling that same just narrative play out, and those fears just come up that maybe you haven't changed at all, maybe nothing will ever change, just remember that is literally your fear. That is literally your ego. That is literally like the parts of you that feel broken and that haven't had a voice yet. It's okay to let them talk. It's okay to listen and let them take up space. But just remember that your real self, the one who lives underneath all of those pieces that feel so broken, you are so whole. You are so complete. You are so enough already. And all you ever do when you come back to the basics, when you feel like you're taking steps back, when you slow down and it feels like, okay, now I need to do baby steps. Maybe you were moving fast. Maybe you were moving like crazy, and suddenly it feels like you're back at moving like a fucking snail. And it feels frustrating because you feel like you need to move faster, because you feel like you're not, maybe you feel like you're behind. I for sure felt like I was behind this year in so many fucking moments. But you're not coming back. You're not taking steps back. You're just coming back to yourself. You're just coming back home. You're just coming back to your center and to the core of who you are, to the core of your truth, of the highest truth, which is like, you're enough. You're complete. You're okay. It's going to be fine. Trust yourself. Trust the process. And that's all we could ever do. Because let me tell you something, girls, and I want to be so fucking honest. I was so close to giving up, I was so close this year to giving up on my business, to giving up on trying to live the life that I want. Oh God, I'm getting emotional. Okay. I was just so close because I was feeling so lost, and I was feeling like nothing was working, like nothing made sense. And that was the worst I felt in such a long time, since my breakup, which, believe me, it is saying a lot, because that was by far the top 2 worst moment of my life. Top 1 probably being some moments in my adolescence, but that was so bad. That was so fucking bad. I was feeling so hopeless this year, and it was really hard to get back up. It took so much of my strength. I still feel like I'm so wounded, and I'm still finding strength to get back up. I'm still finding strength to keep going. And sometimes I still freak out when I start making moves. I'm just like, focus on that one step. You don't need to figure it all out. You don't need to know everything. All you need is to take one step. What is one step that I can take today? That is how I've been living my life lately. And again, I feel humbled. The universe humbled me this year. The universe really shook me. And I feel like I'm still gathering some of those pieces. I'm still trying to make sense of everything that happened this year. And I'm still finding my way back into wholeness and to feeling like myself again. And maybe I will never feel like how I used to feel, in a good way. Maybe what I thought was myself, I'm realizing now that a lot of that was still my ego. And this year felt like a spiritual death. It felt like an ego death. It felt like realizing that sometimes I convince myself that I am something I'm not. Sometimes I try to be someone I'm not, and I'm still trying to please others and live up to other people's expectations of what I think I should be doing, or blah blah. But that's not really me. And so it still feels weird. I still feel really uncomfortable. Just the fact that I'm recording this episode, it doesn't feel safe. Let me tell you something. All I can think about is I should have it all together. I should have my shit together. I should have it all figured out, because I think that's what the Girls in Growth is about. About growth, about personal development. But I convinced myself somehow that it's about me showing up as the master of I know it all, when in truth, like, I will never know it all, first of all, but also it's about showing up the process. That's always been what I wanted to do. But sometimes I do expect myself to be like in this like higher stage of life of like, yeah, like this is what I've learned, this is what I already know, this is what I already embody, because I'm this like perfect fucking person who has it all figured out and has no like faults and has no mistakes and has no like blah blah blah. It's not real, it's not true. And I think the podcast has always given me a space to like be more authentic, but still I want to bring more of that into everything that I do. And with that, I really wanted to share these experiences and these lessons because they have been so impactful for me. And so that's really what I want to leave you with. Wherever you are in your life right now, like whatever you're feeling, no matter how messy it feels, no matter how confusing, no matter how lost, like I promise you, you will figure it out. And I promise you don't need to think your way into figuring it out. You don't need to do that. You just need to take one step. And it's going to make more sense as you go. It's going to fall into place as you go. There's nothing to figure out. Things just fall into place. And it's okay. It really is okay to like be in one of those phases of your life. Just know that you can pick yourself back up. Ask for support if you need, because we all need it sometimes. Most times we need it. Not even sometimes, most times we need it. And just keep going, because you can do this. You can do this. I believe in you. And you're amazing. You're awesome. You are deserving of the life that you want. And that life does not have to happen through you hating on yourself or through you being harsh with yourself. Your life, your dream life gets to happen because you allow yourself to be. That is more expensive. That's when you open up. That's when your chest goes wide open and you are able to breathe and just feel good in who you are without trying to be anything else, without trying to figure things out. Just, this is me. This is real. And I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be now. And I'm going to let the light shine on me. Now that I found who I am, there's no way I'm holding it in. And that's it. No one... I hold it in. No one had to know. I can't remember the lyrics. That was it, girls. That was it. I really hope this episode helped you. I just wanted to announce that this month on the Patreon, I am gonna be putting some monthly journaling prompts. It's something that I really want us all to do for, reflecting, for really continuing to come back to ourselves. If there's something that I'm realizing this year, is that allowing ourselves to be true with ourselves, like to just say it how it is, to journal and like put our thoughts, like our true thoughts, no matter how fucking horrible they sound, but like just putting it out there, just like acknowledging it. I think that's so fucking empowering. Oh, sorry. And I really want to do these monthly prompts. So the September ones are going to come out on September 1st. But I really want these prompts to be kind of a like aid for us to continue moving forward and continue to like check in with ourselves. So I'm obviously also going to be doing these prompts myself. And moving forward into this month, we're going to have a lot of cool things coming up. You can check out Patreon. I'm already going to leave the link, but I just want you to know that for this month, it's going to launch officially in September 1st. But you can already, like, you are VIP, okay? You girls, if you listen to the podcast, I feel like you deserve special treatment. So, and also because the Patreon is supposed to be an extension of this podcast, so that not only are you listening to this and maybe getting some lessons and insights and things that really do empower you, but you're also getting more of the practical side, where I'm going to be giving you like workbooks and workshops and things that are more on the practical and like applicable side of things, where you can like continue to implement the things that we talk about here, and just making it easier for you to really transform your life, to get your life makeover, to feel more empowered in yourself, to live more of the life of your dreams, and to love yourself more and all those things. So definitely go check it out. I'm going to leave the description. I'm going to leave the link in the description of this episode, and I will see you guys next week. I love you. And that was